Well, we've been talking about the end of the world and the economic collapse and war and all that really awful stuff, but at least I can bring a little levity to the conversation. Trump tweets satirical video of Obama shrugging off awkward Biden comments. I could not believe it. The madman has done it. I love that, by the way, calling Trump the madman, because like even his own supporters recognize the dude does unthinkable things. Well, Donald Trump tweeted a video in which there are four black men, one of them being Barack Obama, are sitting in a living room watching, I think, some kind of a sporting event, football, when all of a sudden it cuts to commercial and the guys go, oh, another commercial. And it plays the clip of Joe Biden talking about little kids rubbing his legs and his hair, then goes up or something, and how he loves little kids sitting in his lap. And then the three men all very slowly look to Obama, and Obama goes, what? Because Obama just endorsed the guy. Let me just say that Joe Biden has been credibly accused of sexual assault, and he has been endorsed by Bernie Sanders and Barack Obama. So it was not produced by the campaign. It parodies an Allstate commercial showing the insurance company spokesman Dennis Haysbert watching a basketball game. It was basketball with his friends before a commercial of Haysbert advertising Allstate appears on the screen. In the original ad, Haysbert's friends implore him to change the channel, which he does, only to find another Allstate ad starring himself. In the video, Trump tweeted, Obama's head is obviously superimposed on Haybert's, and instead of an Allstate commercial, a fake Biden ad appears on the TV when the basketball game goes to commercial. I don't want to read this quote from Biden, man, but he basically says the kids used to go up and reach in the pool and rub his legs down so that it was straight and watch the hair come back up again. And then he says that he learned about roaches and learned about kids jumping on his lap, and he loves kids jumping on his lap. Fox says the ad might be fake, but it uses a real quote by the former vice president from June 2017. Yeah, we know that. This segment isn't just to talk about Donald Trump being a madman, if not the ultimate mad lad himself, but to talk about the media and the freaky games they play. Look, Joe Biden said these things. He is a lunatic creep, and he said these things. Over the past 6 months, his decline has gotten exponentially worse. And I think anyone who denies that is lying. I'm not a medical expert. I am not a doctor. But I can tell you this. I've watched Joe Biden debate, and I've watched him talk on TV. And you know what I've noticed? He can't speak. In a recent segment on CNN, he just disappeared for 20 seconds. 20 seconds of nonsensical gibberish. And Anderson Cooper is just like, oh, what do we do as Joe Biden? Blah, blah, blah. But I realized something. I was looking at Donald Trump's approval rating, and what did I see? That it goes like this. It goes up, 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 then down, up, 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 then down, up, 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 then down. And I started thinking about the news stories that you get. Now, if you watch my content, when Donald Trump reaches all-time highs, that's right, I'll make a video and I'll say something like, Donald Trump reaches all-time high approval rating. These segments don't do that well. Most people don't really care. But when the aggregate polling has Trump at the highest he's ever been, I think it's significant because of all the negative press that comes out around him. What the press does with this negative press is inverted. You see, when a negative story comes out about Trump's approval rating, they run it even if it's an individual poll. I started realizing what the media is doing is tricking Democrats into believing they're winning because they only ever see the bad news. Now, there's some good news for Democrats. Their polling is up for the Senate races. They're raising more money. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win. That I can't predict. But think about it this way. If a story comes out that says Donald Trump does well, does the media go nuts with it? No, it's usually a blurb, right? So the easy way to explain it is obviously they are reporting on it. But I think because of the propensity of Democrats to share the negative stories, those are the ones that get highlighted and then ultimately get prioritized for ad revenue. So I've seen stories from, say, The Hill, and it'll have like 50 shares, and it'll say, Trump approval rating breaks records. Well, Trump supporters will share it. But then you look at check out this story right here. Everyone is in denial about November from the Washington Post. And it's a very confusing article, but it basically says that anything Donald Trump does is pointless because he's going to lose. At least that's my general understanding. They say that Trump's response on the coronavirus was so bad he couldn't possibly win. All of these stories, they actually highlight stories that are like, here's let me read this. He says, over the weekend, the hardworking staff here at Spoiler Alerts read a lot of analysis about what the Trump administration was thinking about doing about re-election. What all of this analysis had in common was a refusal to acknowledge some brute facts. My personal favorite is this headline on an American press story. Coronavirus could complicate Trump's path to re-election. I know the AP is as straight-laced as possible in its coverage, and to be fair, the story is straightforward in describing Trump's challenges come November. Still, this is the equivalent to a headline on December 8th, 1941 saying, Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor could complicate America First's desire for isolationism. Basically saying it's inevitable. You can't do anything about it. Or it's not going to work. Your plan's not going to work. The New York Times, the LA Times, the Washington Post all ran stories over the weekend covering the Trump campaign's belief that it can attack Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee, as being soft on China. This guy's writing a story that's basically saying Trump can't win because his coronavirus response was horrifying. That's insane. Trump for over a decade has been the anti-China candidate. The media has reported relentlessly that Trump is scapegoating China. So here's what the media is doing. Go back to what I was saying about Trump's approval rating. It's like Trump does well, Trump does well, Trump does bad. Trump does well, Trump does well, Trump does bad. That means you're slowly going up. 2 steps forward, one step back still means you're moving forward. Now, as these leftists in the media only report on the step backwards, what do Democrats see? Donald Trump does bad, Donald Trump does bad, Donald Trump does bad. The context they're missing is that Trump's approval rating is substantially higher than it has been on average for his presidency. It's not the highest it's ever been. It did peak about a week or two ago. But as they like to report that Trump is doing worse, every day they say, oh no, Trump lost his rally. Trump's approval is down. What they're not showing you is every time Trump's approval is up. Now, it's not necessarily the fault of the media, because as I mentioned, the media does report, Trump going up and going down. But it's about what's getting shared and what's getting prioritized. It's about stories like this from the Washington Post. It's about confirmation bias. You see, Democrats tend to trust the media and Republicans don't. Democrats tend to just read left-wing mainstream outlets, and Republicans read both left and right-wing outlets. Moderates read slightly more left-wing outlets. So I think what you actually see is not that Democrats read the left. It's that those who read the left or trust it tend to be Democrat because they're being fed this information. What ends up happening? If I have, I guess it's the easy way to explain it. If I have 10 stories saying Trump is doing well, but you only share 5 stories that say Trump is doing bad, you say, wow, look at all these stories saying Trump is doing bad. He must be doing really bad. And then if you come over to my side and I say, here's 10 stories that say Trump is doing well and 5 stories that say Trump is doing bad, you go, Trump's doing okay, I guess. Not great, not the best. And that's the problem with the media. Why does this guy think it's inevitable that Trump is going to lose? I think that's what he's trying to say. The dude doesn't really articulate his thoughts really well. He says, new attacks on Biden will feed lots of media narratives. They will not alter the brute facts of this campaign. So you're basically saying Trump's going to lose no matter what. It's funny. I can look back at stories going to 2010 to see Trump has been strong on China. How do you think Joe Biden's going to win when he's been credibly accused by some woman? There's these creepy videos of him talking about little kids sitting on his lap and rubbing his legs down. Jon Stewart of The Daily Show criticized him with a segment called The Audacity of Grote. Do you just avoid all of these things? Let me tell you. I'm not saying that Trump is immune, but I will say if one of the principal attacks against Trump is bad behavior, Joe Biden has that in spades. He's got a credible accusation from some woman. I don't necessarily believe it, and I'm not a fan of these old accusations, but when we're playing by their rules, how would that not apply to Biden? What has been the response from Joe Biden then? The Democrats have tried to go the anti-China route, and they've been attacked by the progressives for it. Do you think that all of a sudden now flip-flopping on the issue of China is going to be enough to win? I think that's insane. I think it's absolutely insane that they're now trying to out-Trump Trump. Because Trump supporters, when given the option of, is Joe Biden, going to stand strong against China? Well, Donald Trump. They're going to be like, dude, Donald Trump for a decade. Yeah, he's been talking about it. Joe Biden, I guess. And then the progressives are going to say, Joe Biden's a racist. He's trying to be Trumpian. That's what we're getting. So, look, when Donald Trump tweets out, here's why I showed you the first story. Let me link this together. You see, when I saw this tweet from Donald Trump about Joe Biden, I looked in the comments and what did I find? Was anybody defending Joe Biden? No, they weren't, because you can't defend this guy. He's creepy. What were they doing? They were ragging on Donald Trump. That's all you got. So let me tell you something. If right now the best thing you can muster in response to this tweet from Trump is that he's an immature baby. And that's what they were saying. Immature baby tweet on Twitter. And you got a guy like Joe Biden, who is seen in a video talking about little kids sitting on his lap and rubbing his legs down shortly after he was credibly accused. Y'all got a real problem here. I'm sorry, calling Trump immature, I guess, I agree. But am I going to pick the diddler over the immature guy? I'm going to pick the immature guy. Is it the best you have to offer? I'll tell you what. A lot of people, they don't really watch my videos because I've said numerous times over the past several months that it's becoming easier and easier to see, a path towards voting for Donald Trump. And one of the things is, aside from the fact that he's done a pretty good job on the coronavirus, as much as the left would try to lie and say he's not, I didn't say he's perfect by no means. But you've also got, well, for one, Joe Biden. I mean, the dude's clearly nuts. Who would vote for that guy? You got to be insane. But the Democrats aren't making any arguments. I'm going to sit down right here, and I want you to tell me why I should vote for Trump or why I should vote for Joe Biden. When Donald Trump tweets out a video of Biden, they just rag on Trump. I'm sorry. Insulting Trump is not an argument for Joe Biden. And so I have to choose between the guy who can't talk straight and likes touching little kids in creepy ways and a guy with the potty mouth. You've made no real argument for why I shouldn't vote for the potty mouth guy, but I know why I'm not going to vote for that dude. Now, Trump, I think, is a creepy guy, too, in a lot of ways. He's certainly been accused by women. But you haven't made any arguments. Calling him an immature baby and corrupt and all this stuff, it doesn't mean anything to me. Come to me and tell me what your policy plan is. I know what Trump's is. Talking about securing the border and going up against China. Well, he was right about China. Look where we are. What's your argument? Oh, you don't have one? Orange Man is bad? Okay. Sure. That's not enough. I'm sorry. I guess we'll see how things play out. I got one more segment coming up for you in a few minutes. Stick around. I will see you all shortly.